My parents wasted thousands of dollars to host my ungrateful friend. All she did was act like a festering cockroach, so I left her stranded at the airport and let karma take her. My friend from high school has been down in the dumps for a while. It's her third year of college, and while her parents pay for all her school needs and a little more, her reluctance to get a part-time job keeps her strapped for cash. This culminated in her spending all 3 of her summer breaks in relative nothingness. She's taking a gap year to stall out her senior year, and I offered to host her at my parents' house in my home country. She was ecstatic. I told her to bring enough money to be comfortable but not worry too much about food costs, as my parents can pay the bill. For some reason, she thought that this meant we would be paying for her ticket. Mind you, a ticket would have cost at least $1,100. Chaos ensued just 2 weeks from the designated time of her arrival, but she managed to cough out a ticket, courtesy of her parents. We're in the 3rd week of her stay, and it's been hell. I never knew anyone could change so much in 5 college semesters. Because we were long-distance friends, I never saw her behavior in the flesh. Let me just highlight some of the utter audacity of this beach. She's been avoiding doing the laundry and stuffing all her dirty clothes underneath the bed. At first, it was because she was too lazy to put her clothes in the hamper. My mom graciously does all our laundry, mostly because she's into fitness and a busybody. Then when it piled up, she got too embarrassed to admit it. I ended up doing the laundry for her. Her room is a mess from her nightly food binging, and somehow, she snuck alcohol bottles into the house. I'm well into my 4th gnat trap in her room because she can't keep her poo clean enough to avoid an infestation. She FaceTimes her cousin, best friend, or whatever in the middle of the night. Then, when she inevitably missed our agreed schedule the next morning because she was too tired, she lied and told me it was because the mattress was too uncomfortable. We went to a bar. She meets a local there and asks me to hang around the city while she dates him because she didn't want to be left alone. I told her to eat butt because I never agreed to be ditched like this, but I decided to stick around anyway because I still had things I wanted to do in the city. At night, I went to pick her up only to see that she had changed her mind and gone home with the guy she just met. Later, she told me she had lied to him, saying she had moved here. He didn't want a one-night stand with a tourist but an actual relationship. She just wanted free drinks and intimacy. She then mentions that she was getting frustrated because guys weren't approaching her when she was a foreigner. She's the same race as the locals, except with a darker complexion. Think French versus Portuguese in comparison. She's also doing substances, like the illegal ones. I don't know how she got her hands on those, probably from the guy she just met. She brought them home and tried to smoke out the window. At least the substances are gone from the house. I used cleaning the room as an excuse to flush it out. Parents bought us event tickets that were approximately $70 each. She decided to go to a club instead and wouldn't answer her phone when I was left blindsided. She agreed to go but didn't tell me she changed her mind. I lied to my parents because I didn't have the heart to tell my mom. I only went. She never tells us when she's hungover or whatever. She decides she's too wasted to eat only after my parents buy the food. Their parents asked her to be more thorough with scheduling because she kept canceling plans and sleeping in. Her response was to call my parents nosy and tell them to get off her back. Luckily, they didn't speak her language and didn't bother asking me what she said. They know she's a B. This isn't even all the things she's done so far. My parents have spent nearly $3,500 on her, including food and luxury trips nationwide. They were going to take us to get a full-course meal ranging around $150 and a trip to another country, but they canceled everything because of her behavior. Now she's asking me about these supposedly promised things to her, and I just told her that she's acting like a festering cockroach. I think she knows our friendship is over. She came out of the room yesterday after a day-long Sabbath, pretending to have starved out of stress. She has snacks stashed in her room, and when I peeked in to see wrappers on the floor, she slammed the door in my face so I couldn't see the mess. She claims that she's just depressed and didn't realize my family had all these Eastern rules that were too foreign for her comprehension. Rules like no shoes in the house and not turning the room into a pigsty. We both grew up in the same Western country, so these rules are too Eastern for us, which is new to me. This isn't even considering her family is also from an Eastern country. She sat me down to tell me we need to communicate better on what I expect from her since we're adults now, but I don't see why I need to communicate that she shouldn't be putting half-eaten ramen in the closet for 2 weeks. Anyway, I told her she could do what she wanted for the last week, and I'd stay out of her hair. She again asked me if we were going on that foreign country trip we initially planned for. I told her no, and she was sulking in her room again. Anyway, I have 1 more week with this parasite. Update: about 4 days ago, I went on a camping trip with the family. My friend decided to sleep over at her new not-so-one-night-stand's house until she left the country, most likely because she no longer felt welcome in my house. I told her we wouldn't be home, but she texted me while camping, saying she was going back home and needed the passcode to the house. There was no way I would let her in the house alone, so I ignored her text. She blew up my phone shortly after, including calls I can't even pick up anyway because it will bill me for international calls. Judging from her sporadic texts and calls, I can only surmise she got kicked out of her guy's house. Unfortunately, I only got her side of the story, but I suspect she either got too hung up on his substances and ignored him or grossed him out with her living habits. Did I mention this girl left vomit trails in the bathtub? Why doesn't she puke on the toilet? It was either that or she revealed she doesn't live here since she did trick him into thinking this wouldn't be a summer fling. I texted her back while coming back 2 days ago, telling her I didn't have reception, and she replied with a short okay. We let her in sometime in the evening because my parents were still willing to house her, and her way of showing gratitude was to give us the cold shoulder. She asked me to buy her dinner later because she was broke after affording a day at a hotel. I rolled my eyes and said no, she's not my responsibility. She comes out of her room later dressed like she forgot half her clothes in her room. I was in the twilight zone watching a 26-year-old woman wearing booty shorts and a small tank top with little duckies and ribbons. I gave her a weird look, and she told me she would ask my parents instead since they were nice and she was cute. I swear I barfed then and there. I guess the reception wasn't what she expected because my mom laughed at her when she saw it, and my dad looked disgusted. I guess she lost her nerve and didn't bother asking. She just casually grabbed some water and walked back to her room. I don't understand what her plan was. Did the shock of getting dumped by her fling make her think she could seduce my parents? This whole thing was so stupid. She just wanted to eat expensive food, considering you can eat a meal for less than $5 in my country. She lives in some fantasy world where she's entitled to things as long as she does some cliché main character stuff. She's been quiet after that, so I guess going through that mental trauma was worth it. She just left the house several hours ago. Because she's just been so out of her mind due to all the partying, she completely forgot it takes a good 1 to 2 hour trip to the airport, and she left the house in tears because she was late. She even had the gall to yell at me because I didn't remind her or reserve a bus ticket, and I told her she was 26, not 12 years old. If she can't figure out how long it takes to get to the airport ahead of time, then she's not mature enough to be doing substances. Lo and behold, she missed her flight and lost her wallet at the airport in the chaos. She only bothered to tell me about this because she wanted me to book a hotel for her while she figured that all out. She's out of my hair now, and I'll probably never talk to her again. It was so stressful initially, but towards the end, I just didn't care anymore.